Okay, there you go.
Good afternoon. It is 3 p.m. on Wednesday, October 9th, 2024. And this meeting of the Sandpoint Parks and Recreation Commission is now called to order. For the record, I'm Chair Chris Ankeny, presiding in the City Council chambers in City Hall, 1123 Lake Street in Sandpoint, Idaho. Commission members present or absent.
We'll just go around the table.
Okay, Cynthia Riopel, present.
Jessica Jansen, present.
Tyler Wagner, present.
All present?
Okay, right,
Everybody
not
present?
but yeah.
Am I not present? I am present though.
Josh just
Hello.
got here.
Josh.
And is Taylor Long
Um,
not here today?
Nope.
Okay, absent. And then on Zoom, we have Eric Donnefield and Gwen Victorson joining us. Okay, go
Okay.
ahead and proceed here, Chris.
We will now proceed with approval of the minutes from the commission's last meeting. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from September 11th, 2024 meeting.
So one of you has to motion and then someone else needs to second.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And that was, sorry, your name again?
Cynthia.
Cynthia.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I think she wants us to say our names so that she can
Yes, it looks
make
like.
sure she
I
can get
wanna
them
make
marked.
sure I
Okay.
can see Eric here. Eric's giving me the thumbs up. Okay, good. Thank you.
Eric, Cynthia, Jessica, Tyler,
Katie,
Josh.
thanks.
Cool. I can. Okay. The motion passes. The minutes are approved. Okay, there is no old business. Do I need to do the, before we move on, there's no other visitors.
Nope, you can skip that part.
Okay. New business, we have item number 2, which is to discuss the sponsorship policy final draft. Jason's not here to present on that. I'd entertain a motion to table that
So moved.
agenda item. There's been a motion. It's a second.
And your,
Tyler.
Tyler, sorry.
Sorry. Say my name.
I'll get it soon. Tyler was my motion. Jessica for second.
Any discussion?
Thank you.
All those in favor of tabling the discuss sponsorship policy final draft?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that agenda item is tabled. Go ahead, please.
Just in time, Dave. Only 14 minutes.
Sorry.
I mean,
It's all good.
okay, so the next agenda item is the 2024 Outdoor Recreation Fund grant application. And Maeve, I believe, is going to talk about that, and we have some handouts, right?
Yes.
Who does not have one?
Yeah, this is my handout. You should all have one. If you don't. Thanks for assisting. Thank you. Okay, so let me first tell you about the fund application and the reason why it overlaps with the design and project process. When a project comes into the city, they typically are coming in from the master plan, which Parks and Recreation has 2 master plans, well, really 3 that overlap. And the biggest one, or most obvious one, is the Park and Rec master plan, which hopefully you guys will get to take a look at. The other master plan that is under Parks and Rec's purview is the Little Sand Creek Watershed Recreation Plan. I co-authored this one, and this one was adopted in 2020 prior to coming here. So Cami was a part of that. And in the case of this grant, Jason had, somehow he came across this grant and the Outdoor Recreation Fund, and it's basically using, I believe, remnant ARPA funds and that have been reallocated for the outdoor recreation world. And the constraints of the grant were that you have to have a shovel-ready, meaning ready to build project that must be built by the end of 2025. It must be already approved or through the planning process. It needed to be basically vetted by, I guess, the community as far as the conceptual side of it goes, not necessarily the design, but the concept. And the biggest one is it needed to go under contract by the end of October. So with all
October
of
of this year.
under contract, which if you're gonna build in 2025, it's a little weird to hire a contractor for 2025 in October. Most of the construction contracts don't go out until January at the earliest, but usually it's like March when we put out contracts, which goes back to why I felt the need to talk to you about, to show you the process and why that one is a one-off. It's not necessarily a one-off, but that's how it's being perceived as a one-off, because it was the only shovel-ready plan that we could do as a design build, meaning the contractor is the designer and the builder. And it has already been vetted, not only in the Park and Rec Master Plan, but when I was doing the outreach in the fall of 2021 and into 2022 for the skate park, it was repeated as a priority. So the project that Jason decided to go forward through after consulting with me, he literally was like, I think this is a good fit. What do you think? And I said, yeah, that's actually the only project that I have that could fly for this grant is the asphalt pump track. And the way that I describe it is it's the bike park pump track with a pump track facility at Traverse Park. So it's the Traverse Park bike park with a pump track, asphalt pump track. Sorry, I want to make sure I said that right. Because it's not just going to be a pump track, it's also going to have a picnic area, seating area, some shade, some landscaping. So I didn't want it to only be called a pump track, and I didn't want that fun to be constrained to only the track. We want all the other amenities that go with it, as well as we may want to have a jump line, or we may want to have a skills course, which similar to what's at Tiny Woods, but a skills course more for the intermediate users to advanced users. Think of the skinny little narrow wood logs that people ride on, or rock features that people go over to help develop those skills. So in the Park and Rec Master Plan, that project was identified along with the skate park in the adopted plan as the two highest priorities for Traverse Park. And then when I did the skate park public outreach in 2021 and into 2022, and I called it an all-wheels skate park expansion, I included the bikers from day one. And I included that community, and they, as well as the bike group, wanted a hardened surfaced pump track. Everybody wanted that. All the users, people in wheelchairs spoke up. Users on different types of wheeled devices spoke up. So we have that back story. So to think that this project came out of nowhere, it didn't. And yes, when I took the fill material out from the building at the James E. Russell Center, we were taking that material out, and the material that was good, usable fill, meaning clean, it didn't have sawdust in it. The only negative to that fill material was it had a lot of sawdust. There isn't anything else under that building. It seems to have been where the wood mill debris was dumped. Or maybe there was a wood mill. I don't actually know what was right there at that time, but it was just good old fashioned clean sawdust. And then there's good dirt. So we extracted the good dirt and we stockpiled it over at the west side of Traverse Park. I did that on purpose because I have designed and built several bike park facilities and completed 2 full projects, and they always need a lot of dirt, always. And while we didn't have a fully developed design yet, I know from my experience as a landscape architect in the field that you need dirt to build an elevated area and then you sculpt into that dirt. So not all of that dirt that we saved is going to go towards this project. Some of it's going into the ball fields, which was also a priority of Traverse Park. So back in 2021 and 2022, when I was doing the design of the Traverse building, that was always the plan, was to stockpile the good material and use it. And so we've realized about $100,000 in savings by saving that material, stockpiling it over there. And then in this grant, Jason applied for, he said that we would match their grant with that material, and then staff time being mostly my time. And some maintenance help when we go to do landscaping. So that's that. Does anybody have any questions about that? So now, so you can better understand it. If you look at this chart, I developed this chart as a simple way when people come into City Hall and they want to talk to me about projects. Because it happens quite a bit. People want something developed. Excuse me. And when they want something developed, it depends. So the first thing that I do is I take their idea and I double check it. Is it in any of our master plans? So let's say that Katie wants to put in a swing set in her neighborhood park. And she comes in the door and she says, we're missing a swing set and I really need this swing set. So she tracks me down and we sit down, and the first thing we do, it doesn't matter what time of year, is we have a conversation about this swing set. And I say, well, Katie, your park does not actually say in the master plan that it should have a swing set, but it does say it should have a children's playground. So maybe if you're interested, we could, start that playground project, and then you'll get your swing set and you're going to get so much more. But I might say our planning process is telling us, there's no money at all right now. So if you really want that, you're going to have to go find the money for this, meaning go find some neighbors that you want to help support it, go talk to maybe Lighthouse or something, get a sponsor for this. But I'm going to start it as a project, and it will go from an idea to a planning project. Or there's another track. I might say, you know what, Katie, that project is scheduled for next year. And we said in our fiscal year budget that we're going to put that playground in this coming year, in fiscal year 2025, which actually starts right now, October 1st of the previous year. And I'll say, Katie, that is so awesome. Do you want to be on an advisory committee? Do you want to help me get other stakeholders? So now we jump to the planning side. Do you want to help me pick out equipment and help figure out what kind of equipment? Would you be interested in writing a fundraising letter? At the same time as I kick off my local advisory group members, which now we have all of you, and this is where you're all going to come into play, is when we have projects like that are in the docket, which we're not going to get into today, but in the next meeting, we're going to talk about what's on my agenda for 2025, which is all identified in the park budget that was adopted last September, August, July, sometime this summer we adopted. And it rolls over right now. So if you want to know what's on the docket, there's this skate park, this bike park was actually it was already identified in the fiscal year, and we already identified that we would be fundraising for it. So that's in alignment with that grant. So that checks that box. But if Katie stood her ground and she said, I know you don't have this swing set in this year's budget, but I really want to see this happen in the future. How do I make it happen? Then I would start that planning process, like I said, and the following year we would start to put it into the work plan for a 2026 project. But I could start it now. We could get all the information. We could get pretty far down, because I can do everything in this category, and I can do 99% of the stuff in this design category. The only thing is I don't quite have my license yet as a landscape architect, so I can't stamp a drawing. I'm halfway through my exams. We do have an in-house licensed landscape architect, Eric Bush, and he is licensed, as well as Brandon is a licensed engineer. So both of them can stamp a drawing. So I could, in theory, do everything all the way through design, except I would need to go fundraising. So I would probably take it as far as I could and work on it a little bit here and there, depending on my workload. So in years like this, where 2024 and 2023, I'm in heavy construction, and you're lucky if I'll even say hello, because my head is down and all I'm doing is out in the field and driving everybody crazy out there. But in normal years, the normal 1 year project in around July, August, we start talking about projects for the following year. So if Katie were to come to me in July and August, that's the perfect time for somebody to come, or for all of you to bring your projects even before that to the table. And really, it is better to know 2 years out, and as much as 5 years out, what we want to do. And I do have those. I have some strategic plans, but everything has kind of been, tossed in the air, and we're gonna see where these pieces lay because of all of you, because now we have a commission. So you're gonna play an instrumental role going forward in what our projects are gonna be. But if it's a project that we don't have funding for, then it might be a 2 or 3 or 4 year project. But I could still start working on it and get it to that shovel-ready level, so that when the grants come through, or when a big donor comes through, we can say, oh, we've got this thing ready to go. Nice to meet you. Let's go. Thanks for the money for the swing. And we go and do it. So those are the kind of your two paths. Now, there's a third way to get a project in, and of course, that is the mayor's directive. If the mayor wants something done, or if there's, let's say, the swings at City Beach blowout, which they did, then we start working on that. And I could do that on my own in-house with maintenance, and I might not even tell council what I'm doing, because I'll use funds that we have to replace something. It is a good practice to always inform council what you're doing. And then that's where you guys come in now, because I will always update you on what I'm working on, even if it's a maintenance project, or it's an infrastructure project. So, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll have a say in if I'm gonna go fix something up. So, and I will say to that, the mayor has directed me to focus on improving what we already have. He doesn't really want to see new projects, but that doesn't mean that the new projects are off the table. It's just they're not heavily funded anymore. We don't have a lot of money, so we're gonna be in a rebuilding stage for the next couple of years. So I'll be doing a few things that are big capital projects, but for the most part, I'm going to be looking for those smaller projects. And that brings us to visioning, idea, planning, analysis. So we're going to do some exercises together over the next couple of months, where we're actually going to do like a report card that I hope to launch with you all, where we go and we inspect the parks and the trails and we rate them, because that will help me. If you give me a rating of a D, I can go to the mayor and say, hey, I really need some money. How can we find this? Or I can go to different groups and say, we really do need to fix this. This swing set is now falling down, and I need this playground for Katie. And then, so then the last part of the design process is the construction and the maintain. I kind of put them together. They go hand in hand. And that's kind of where I am right now with Travers. As you know, I'm in the last 5 weeks, or really 4 weeks, if we're actually on track. We are tracking to finish that project around the middle of November, which is crazy. So we are just a few weeks out, and we're getting our final nuts and bolts and ordering things like pickleball nets, the trash cans and things like that. We installed toilets last week. We're painting the floor today. I mean, the thing is, it's getting done, but it's not done when it's built. There is the maintenance. How do you maintain it? What is the maintenance plan? And what's the longevity plan? And what we're doing right now is all of our capital projects have a little bit of budget allocated that goes into a fund that collects interest. So for example, with Travers, it already has a fund that's been collecting interest, in addition to the Inovia Foundation has a fund as well that has 25,000 that's going to approve as well, which anybody can donate to that fund. So we're always trying to think of the full life cycle of the project and then get it into a strategic plan for future improvements or maintenance. Yeah, so that's kind of it. Does anyone have any questions or want to talk about any of the nitty-gritty elements of this? Pretty user-friendly.
Visual's great.
Yeah, I try to make things simple. When I speak to council, I can probably get bogged down in the details. Awesome. Well, you all can have this. I have to go to another meeting, but I'll listen for a few minutes. And I do want to share, and I can't give these to you, but I'm going to leave them with Cami or Katie. In my past life, I had a specialty in my former job as an inclusive playground expert, and this was from Anchorage. And this is me planting a seed to you all of what we could do around Sandpoint, where we can make cool maps that might show things like a map of all of our parks and all the different attributes that would relate to universal design or inclusivity. So some might have certain kind of a surfacing, some might be specialized for kids with autism or for kids that are hearing impaired or whatnot. And we could rank that, and we could have great little visuals. This is obviously from Anchorage, which is a giant city and had a lot more money and resources. I worked with a nonprofit foundation, but just be thinking, you have a little bit of homework about, park planning and what you're all looking forward, whether it's in this next year for projects or improvement projects, or for the long term. And I'm gonna pass this around for you guys just to look at. And then this is really fun since I use the term inclusive all the time and people don't always know what that means. An inclusive park or inclusive space, it doesn't have to be a park, it could be an inclusive restaurant. Inclusivity to me, everyone has their own interpretation, but it means above and beyond ADA. ADA is the federal regulation for access, not necessarily taking into consideration any other ability or disability. And inclusivity to me means you are thinking of a universal way to design for everybody. So spaces are for all abilities, and I call it superpowers. And not just people that have, super advanced skills or they have a disability or whatnot. It's for everybody and ages. So a playground to me, I don't even have kids and I love to go to playgrounds for meetings and just wait, because when my playground's done, you're all gonna meet and we are gonna play. So yes, so this is a great tool and I'll share this with you, but again, I only have one copy. I just want to pass this around. And this talks about different types of superpowers and what kind of play features that different superpower folks might really benefit from having. And not all playgrounds have everything, and not all parks and not all city streets have everything, not all schools, not all homes, but we try to get as many as we can. And certainly we try to have the coolest features, have something for everybody. And you all can be super proud because our new playground has the coolest feature. It's called the Bolo, and it's made by this company called Landscape Structures. The equipment is arriving next week, so you'll start to see it get put up. And the Bolo has something for everyone of all abilities in one piece of equipment, as well as all the other things we have out there. But the Volo is something that's super cool, and maybe we'll share a link to that. That's all I have. I just wanted to drop a little special, clarify some of my terms by utilizing some of these handouts. And if you have any questions, certainly shoot them through. And yeah, we'll dive into this a little bit more in the future.
Do you have those documents, the master plan documents? Like, are there copies of those available?
No,
I know
they're
they're
only
online.
digital.
Okay.
Yeah. I do think we should probably get you some, if you would request it officially, so then we can authorize funding.
Okay,
As we play that.
I can print them, I suppose, too.
I mean, other commissions get their plans, so it's not a big deal. Box a copy or something, we print in-house and then we just go print
And your
it.
test crew for the new playground's over there, so.
So
Yeah.
Put them to work too,
I got a
yeah.
couple testers too.
I love it. I will let you guys, if you want to borrow these, you just have to give them back today. Give them to Cammy because I use these, you can tell because I mark them up.
Yeah.
Each of them have action plans in them. And at some point we'll do a deeper dive, but the chart in the Park and Rec Master Plan is robust at best. And it's kind of crazy. The chart that I made in here, obviously I wrote it, so I made it easy. I think it's like page 60. It's pretty straightforward.
Do you guys like these? Like,
Yeah.
Master plan?
I would, cause I,
Yeah.
plus computer screens
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
This is so cute.
I think a request for easily accommodated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, make sure that goes in the minutes, Cammy. Here, I'll leave this with you. You can give it back to Cammy when you guys are done. I'll stick around. Did you need me for anything else?
One quick question for you.
Sure.
Yeah, so you talked about the shovel ready plan. Do you have like list of 2025 projects, 26, 27, 28?
Yeah, so
all
the
that kind of stuff.
the twenty
We
twenty-five
didn't do that.
projects, it's on our park, or it's on you go to the budget page on our website. And maybe, I don't know, Cammy, if we can pull it up. Not so easily.
I am not for share screen.
Can we share links with them?
Yes.
So the way to do it, we just got a new website, if you haven't heard. The best way to get to the projects is to go to the financial page, the budget for 2025, and then it's parks, capital improvement projects. And there aren't that many. It's really simple. The outdoor tennis courts at Travelers are gonna get redone, resurfaced, and then we're gonna redo the landscaping on the south side of that and make sort of a trailhead gateway. And then the bike skills course. So we have some funds and we're trying to double that pot to get to 600,000. So that's what we budgeted, with 600,000. And with this grant, we should be able to get there, and the other ones that we have identified. And the goal is to do those two projects at Traverse. So we're kind of finishing up the south end, and then we'll put Traverse to rest for a while. And then I'm pretty confident that I haven't been officially directed yet, but they would like me to design a dog park, and I said we should do a master plan first of dog park facilities, because while we say we want a dog park, what we each think a dog park is a different thing. And I've done several master plans, and then from the master plan, then we can pick, with the community's input, we could decide what is the highest priority and what's the most feasible, and then we can move forward with implementation. But we need to do fundraising in there too. We have some community members already raising money for a dog park, so there's a couple $1,000s in a pot for that right now. The Shakapa dog pet store has been raising money for several years, and they very much want to see a dog park facility or off-leash facility developed within city limits that would also cater to small dogs, so a separated small dog and then all dog area. And we did do a dog park design for War Memorial Field, Lakeview, and it came in at over $1.5 million, because it needed to, at the time, the priority identified in master plan said it needed to go down to the lake. And it needed to be ADA accessible, and to get ADA access down to the lake with the small footprint that we had on a slope with poor soils and a terrible embankment that was built by Phil from the US Army Corps was where all the money would go. So that got tabled. And then I came up with another concept at Lakeview, but Lakeview Park was never designed in the park master plan. So that was put on hold because we needed to have a site plan done for Lakeview Park that needed community input before we went ahead and just put in a dog park. So that would be one of those examples of, I will probably pick up where I left off and I would explore Lakeview some more. I would also explore all other parkland and possible right-of-way land that we could, and work with you all on that. And when I start doing that, I'm not starting any planning, visioning, design projects. I'm not doing anything until I'm done with Traverse. So like I said, Traverse is supposed to be done by the end of November at the latest. And then I'm gonna take a little vacation. So when I come back in January, my plan is to be rested and not so grouchy and creative. And ready to design. I'm gonna need a break after this next month. And then there is plans to do a non-motorized boat launch. We originally had one in 2024. We had allocated 25,000 to put a boat launch at the city owns the part of the parking lot at the visitor center off Highway 2, and that is unrealistic to build a boat launch that's ADA accessible right there with the slopes for 25,000. So it was never realistic in the first place. And so on Sand Creek, yeah. Where the visitor center is, yeah. It's a wonderful place to put it, but there's no pedestrian access. There's not a bike path there. There's no sidewalk. So you have to drive there. And then the parking lot would need to get updated. There need to be bathrooms, there need to be all these things. So unfortunately, parks, they sort of land in the space of, it's never just what they say it's going to be. Just like a dog park is never a dog park. It's fencing, it's these fancy elaborate gates, it's a dog fountain, which means you then have to have water. It's this fancy like antimicrobial surfacing. And some people have different views about what that looks like. Lots of people have different views. So there's never, nothing as simple as I want to swing. A swing I can do. But it's, take everything with a grain of salt because there was a lot of great ideas in the past, but not realistic budgets. And so that's why those things didn't move forward.
Do the projects always have to be so elaborate? Like, the mayor had mentioned
Mhm.
using open spaces and
Mhm.
and that he liked things that, well, didn't cost money.
Mhm.
first, and Utilizing what's already there, but maybe more of an open space land use.
Yeah, so natural space, nature playgrounds, soft surface trails, but you still always have to have certain things, like you would need to have a rules kiosk. Well, a rules kiosk costs money, it's a couple $1,000s. You still need to have ADA parking. Any improvement we do is required by the law, federal law, to be ADA accessible. So while you could do a soft surface trail, it still has to be, less than 5% grade and 2% horizontal. So you still have to figure that out.
And is it also to get some of that funding, does that require certain improvements?
No, it's just the law, it's federal law. So, you're not gonna get the funding. Yeah, so like, for example, Aldi, if we were to build trails out there, we would need to make sure that those trails were accessible, or at least a portion of them. So you have to have a portion of those, disc golf accessible, of course, like maybe 3 cars. Or 3, doesn't have to be all.
I was just thinking of the water portion of that, because that would be difficult. Didn't need water.
Everything's a design opportunity, I think. Nothing's totally different than design opportunity and money. Yeah, so there's a lot of ideas out there. So I don't have all the ideas. Mayor hasn't given me all his ideas yet, and there's not much in the plan next year other than what I just expressed. And then, I think the big thing that Jason wants me to do is assess our existing conditions and determine what is feasible to do with in-house staff and limited resources, meaning not much money. Like if we just need to add gravel to a trail or, put some signs out, that's nominal. But if we need to do a full makeover, specialize in that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Yeah, so just think about that stuff, this is the fun part, is the visioning, but these are my bases for. Any other questions before I to go to another meeting? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Nate.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you all. It's good to see everyone. Yeah, unless you guys are you?
Are you guys all done with these?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Hold on to it.
Did you develop those cards? These cards?
No, I didn't. Bribed the playground reps to make me them, so they were like this. So I can hand them out at meetings. Yeah, if we ever get to work together on a playground, it's a party.
Yeah.
So. Okay, let's.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
See you at the next one.
All right, looks like we're ready to move on to the next one, number 4. Usage vision for the James E. Russell Community Room and Court Space.
Yes. So the James E. Russell Center, we have a community room that fits roughly 50 people. It's gonna be state of the art. We'll have a few screens that we can use for TVs, presentations, fully wired for sound. We did do a community outreach with the pickleball and tennis folks, and we put out a survey on what that community room could look like. So there was options for it to be for yoga classes, parties, conferences, meetings. Me being the recreation person that loves programming for kids, I'm looking at it as a space for kids camps. Right now, we just actually had our first non-school day kids camp last Friday. Nine kids signed up. There was about 5 families, group of siblings. I was really optimistic. I saw 2 on Thursday and then 9 people showed up for Friday. So the families really enjoyed that. They asked where that program has been for a while. So the days where the kids aren't in school, but the teachers are still there for their in-service days, I wanted to offer up an opportunity for a day camp, care, whatever we needed for kindergarten, sixth grade. But that is a space that I was hoping to look at using as well. So if I'm looking from my programming perspective, I would be using that space for kids' day camps and for the summer camps as well. But if we are, obviously, I'm looking for the community's input too. I know what I like to program for, but I want to know what else I can program for. So that's a discussion that I would like to have, is going beyond the pickleball and tennis community, because this does need to be a building that also incorporates the needs of the rest of the community as well. So if there are any ideas or thoughts or input, I'm opening that one up for discussion. If you guys have heard anything or if there's any input y'all have on it now.
Do you have your ideas that you can share with us?
My brain gets so like, I get overstimulated when I get to talk about new programs, but I tend to look back on the other places that I've worked and other cities that I've worked in, and I would like to, my most recent one was the town of Frisco. We use the Nordic Center that during the winter time is for cross-country skiing, and that transforms into a Nordic Center. But that space is meant for 60 kids, and that was the base of our day camp. So the kids would meet at that day camp. We had a field for them to use. We had playgrounds. We brought their scooters, their bikes, their skateboards, and basically did a tour to the different parks all around Frisco. We did have an opportunity. We rented vans, so the kids did get to go on some field trips, but we can take those programs and make them more Sandpoint oriented. We've got plenty of parks and plenty of things for them to do within the town of Sandpoint as we start building these programs. But I would like to see day camps for kindergarten to sixth grade, and then adventure camps for the junior high going into high school. Bring in some skateboarding and bike professionals that can do clinics, that can run clinics for them and use the skate park and the bike park. And make it just more of still a camp, but turn it into more for the teenage preteens that don't necessarily want to do the daycare day camps where we play group games and crafts and things like that. Make it more for their level. That's one program that I would like to do. I would like to bring in some stretching and yoga classes though. For the folks that are planning on learning the pickleball and tennis games, it would be great to offer something for them to do after they get done for a cool down. I would like to use that space to do birthday parties, specialized birthday
That's what I
parties.
was thinking.
So when I worked for the town of Flower Mound, we used our outside patio area for birthday parties, and we partnered up with a pizza place. We partnered up with Sam's Club. So with the families, it was like $250 for 15 kids to come in for the room for an hour and a half and access to our pool. They got a birthday cake done in the theme that they wanted, that we would go down to Sam's Club and pick it up. So Sam's Club gave us a discount to be able to provide these cakes, as well as if they wanted pizza, they got a choice between cheese, pepperoni, and sausage, and Domino's cut us a deal, so they would deliver the day of. And the kids would have their pizza, we would have the room decorated, and then it just, however big they wanted to make it, we could do complete add-ons. But if people wanted to reserve it for themselves and do the whole party themselves, rent out the room for that when we've got a gorgeous new playground coming in, splash pad, skate park, amazing, just green areas for the kids to play during the summertime, spring, even winter. That would be another usage for that room that I was thinking of. I would also like to use for the court space on the nights where, if it's not so busy, or if I would be able to reserve it for a community event, I think it would be really cool to do like because it's going to be too cold for movie in the park. But what if we were to bring a movie screen indoors and turn it into a winter event with a community speed?
And then do you charge for that?
I prefer not to charge for community events if I can help it, but that's where I'm working on a discussion for a possibility of sponsorship menus. We'll get into that with the table discussion. We were going to discuss sponsorship policies that the city's hoping to adopt, where we can have these businesses come in and look at it from the perspective of, do you want to be our movie in the park sponsor? And for every movie in the park, they're our official sponsor of that event. So it'll kind of offset the cost of what it normally costs to bring in a ginormous movie screen and the sound.
Is this great? The use of the space, is that free?
For, even for our recreation programs, we rent out our space, so we still have to pay for the
Right.
usage of our space for the wear and tear. It is on a little bit more of a discounted level, but we still pay for
Mhm.
using our space for the program.
So if somebody wanted to reserve that space now, they would have to, well, it's not done yet, but
Right.
in the future, they would go to the Parks and Rec website and through the whole thing.
Yeah, just kind of
Yeah.
like we do for Memorial Park.
Gotcha.
Is that what Memorial Field?
Or community hall or anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah,
Okay.
And if it's more like a tournament or something, it would be a special event application.
so that was my, yeah. If I am open for anybody's ideas on this, I can just,
Ideas.
I can, I take a lot from my past experiences and what worked with the other cities and that I saw universally kind of was accepted in communities. So the before and after school programs and kids specialty programs. And another one I am doing with the community room is called Kids Night Out. It's going to be the third Friday of every month, starting in November, I believe. Movies, dinner, crafts, playtime. Parents can drop their kids off for 4 hours. It'll be from kindergarten to sixth
Are you
grade.
charging for that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's your like.
Yeah, this is, it'll, if anything, the cost of it, I want to say, I think I have it at $35. That's going to pay for the staff to be there as well as paying for dinner and any materials that we need for the crafts. So
Okay. So you're not making a profit off of it.
We can
I-
also accept scholarships for that.
Oh, yeah.
Give out scholarships for
sure.
that.
Yes. Yeah, that should put that one in the agenda too. We can talk about the scholarship opportunities also. Yeah, so my ideas are just kind of flooded in my brain right now and trying to figure out how I'm gonna get all this to happen, but I've got all the time in the world. And I'm looking for resources outside of what my brain is telling me is good programming for what the community can tell me is what they need for
Yeah.
good programming. So yeah, that is. Does anybody have any questions or comments or?
So I had an idea and I apologize. I'm on a plane about to hop back to Spokane. So, but ultimately, I'd love to see a soccer night where we have open soccer play there and they can rent the facility. It's the exact size of futsal field. So that's an indoor soccer facility. And it gives another place besides Sandpoint Soccer Arena for people to come and play open play. I'd love to see that opportunity open up.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have an
Okay.
idea as well, to give, it also connects to the idea of another venue in town for parties and such, but also just maybe it's something that's regularly scheduled, especially in the winter months, to give kids an opportunity for large motor play, when the weather is not always cooperative, and I don't know if this is practically possible, but if the surface inside the Russell Center can accommodate like an inflatable, you could have, you know, something that's maybe there's an opportunity, you know, either to rent those or procure them and have that be a regular thing, like every fourth Friday of the month is inflatable night, and you can come and have pizza. And, you know, I know places like that are wildly popular. My kids love them. We seek them out when we travel, not so much anymore that they're older, but that was a big hit for years and years and years. So, and I'm a big fan of anything, any large motor play you're doing,
Right.
you know, inside, outside, wherever it is, but
The town of Breckenridge in their recreation facility, they dropped the curtain in their gym. It's a really extensive gymnasium, but they'll drop the curtain and on one side, they set up inflatables for families to be able to come in and play. Just because it does, winter starts very, very early there and there's
Mhm.
no places for the kids to horse around in. I think the one thing you did bring up was the flooring, and I know that's gonna be that'll be a little bit of the challenge. Is that it kind of, from my understanding of what the flooring is made of, it kind of has a really gritty, just layer to it. So if a kid falls, there's that possibility that they're gonna be scraping.
right.
But looking for, like, if we look ahead of beyond the pickleball and tennis, and if it ever comes down to it where we need to reevaluate the usage of the space, they do have these snap together court floors, the sport courts that you can lift up and put down. just a matter of storing them afterwards and using that during the winter months or the months where we need to be able to use that space. Or if we use the entire facility for something different where we don't want to damage that floor, there's always that option with the sport courts and the snap together gym floors. So sky's still the limit on what we can do. I look at that space as a blank canvas looking into the future, as well as still partnering and still working with our pickleball and tennis groups so that they still have their facility as well. But just making it a little bit more of a transformative space, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I guess if we reached out to the local, like the soccer stuff, the other organizations, football, flag football, baseball teams, all that, I'm sure they'd have all kinds of ideas.
Oh, absolutely.
They probably already have their foot in the door on some of that stuff, but maybe there's some organizations out there that we are not hearing from.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to do
They-
that survey, but
Is Monterey building an indoor facility too?
I have not heard any
Oh, wow.
certainty, but I've heard that that is part of their
'Cause that's
their
something
long-term
to
plan that
kind of
they
remember
are
too, because
looking to
if you
add,
put too
add
much
an
in that
indoor.
facility, pretty soon it's gonna be,
right?
overkill. But
Yeah. There is
spread the wealth.
I have, my big learning curve here is what recreation programs have felt a bit oversaturated, and that the recreation department itself doesn't need to be getting too, competitive with. There's some kids sports that the community has a lot of. And while the recreation department can definitely provide extra classes for those kinds of things, there are areas where it does become oversaturated, and when it's a one-man show. In recreation right now, it's hard for those programs to take off in a successful way when other places already have like they're a really solid footing.
Right, yeah.
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 So that's definitely my big trial and error here is checking out a program and again, throwing it against the wall, see if it sticks. And if it doesn't, then I need to reevaluate and try again. But I want people's input on what I need to be trying, because my brain only has so much for the
Right.
programming. I need the rest of the folks' input on what we can do for everybody.
Hey there, this is Gwen. I'm on Zoom. I don't know if you can hear.
Yes.
I appreciate like all of your fun ideas. I wrote down a couple things that I think would be, programs to consider. One really simple one, seniors like walking, just having the facility open at certain times, especially during the winter months when all those paths are filled with snow. And I know the seniors, it's been like very hard to find somewhere for them to go to just do their laps. And if you had an open time and maybe just like a drop-in fee of a few bucks or something like that, or it was really, casual, just like pay as you go or something like that, that might, pick up some traction, and it's close to a lot of people. And then you're probably thinking of it already, but perhaps partnering with Waldorf or the YMCA for overflow, because they have programs that they want to run, but they don't have the facilities for them. And then the Waldorf school, I know, has used the Traverse Park a lot for a lot of things for lots of years. But potentially they might need it for their PE program. And again, if you can get some of those folks who can commit to like set dates, set times, like reoccurring, you get the good traction on, for sure money coming in. And then also just thinking about like trainings, like I've been through my wilderness first responder course quite a bit, and CPR, first aid. There's a group called Longleaf Medical in Sandpoint, and they offer trainings, and just kind of thinking of it for some bigger regional training opportunities where they book it for maybe a whole weekend or whatnot to, or like I work for the Department of Lands when they need to host a conference or, something like that, where you have daily rental rates that you can actually teach out of.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We have 10 minutes before Tammy needs to go home.
Yes.
So let's pay attention to that.
Okay, so for the 2025 recreation programs, we're sticking with our tried and true ones that we have been doing. We have the adult co-ed volleyball that is taking place at, the Bonner County Fairgrounds. It was discussed that we were not marketing it, early enough. So I opened it up super early and some of the leagues are already full. So A1 already has 5 out of 6 of the spots taken. Volleyball apparently is really big.
I texted somebody last time, like, dude,
Okay.
there's one spot left. Actually, it's very early. How do you
Yeah.
get on, how do you get on a team? I wanna get on a team.
That was another discussion that was
Hey,
brought up on the
Hey,
Facebook
pay that
page.
price, you can get there.
I
You have to
posted,
send it by a
I
team,
did,
right?
I posted it on Facebook and it generated some conversation on groups that are looking for people. Were you
Yeah.
one of them?
Mhm.
Okay. There is a private, I didn't know it was private, but there's a private Facebook page. That's Sandpoint Volleyball, that if you get into it, you can discuss with people on how you can get into teams. But there are a lot of newcomers in Sandpoint that are looking to build their teams up.
It's competitive.
We opened it up really early. And,
I was surprised.
absolutely surprised by how fast some of those filled up. So now we know the need for volleyball and, I'm excited that we have this much conversation going.
Yeah.
We also have kids basketball programs that are gonna be taking place in January. The one thing that I would say has been a really big struggle with the kids' sports programs is finding volunteers and coaches. That has ultimately resulted in if I don't have them, I don't know how I'm gonna run them, and if I don't know how I'm gonna run them, then I need to cancel them. So I have reached out to, what is it called, Cammy? Do we recall? Skyhawks. I did have a conversation with Skyhawks. They do provide a lot of kids after-school programs, sports programs, weekend programs, and what they provide is they provide the staffing and they provide the equipment. So it does take that pressure off. And they're gonna be sending me what their ideas are and if there are costs involved. So this is just really preliminary on what we're bringing in. Skyhawks has also started an after-school program for pickleball classes, which will tie in really, really well for the Russell Center if this is something that we can do. So I'm definitely exploring other options than, just working on hiring here. If I can't find the staff here, then I need to find it somewhere to keep some of the programs going. I also am in contact with a couple of people who were involved in our lifeguard and swim programs. They are interested in coming back as long as we find a way of getting them certified. And I am looking forward to the process of getting them certified, but they have expressed an interest in coming back and rebuilding and reestablishing the lifeguard program, as well as their family member coming back as a swim instructor. So we would be able to do some swim classes. On another note, with the Skyhawks people, they also offer swim classes too. So if I needed to do a swim camp, they have a lifeguard trained staff member that will come up and take them out to the lake and do a swim camp. So I'm taking everything I can think of and Googling and contacting whoever I can think of and just pulling as much from that as I can to see which one of a plan A, plan B, plan C, and plan D is going to get, some traction for programs that do need to come back. So that is where the 2025 is. And I am also wanting to get, some more foot races going, especially for kids. I think it would be really fun to do a family fun run during the summertime. Have it on a Friday evening, do a variety of different race lengths so toddlers can run with their parents for a 0.25 miles. We can do a 5K for the older kids and just have a 2 hours of a fun run where everybody, they get some sort of a sponsored treat at the end. A t-shirt, headband, toys, do a little raffle for them at the end for anybody that's registered. In Frisco, it was called a kids mountain goat race. And it was every Friday. We blew up a big arch. Every kid got a number 1 for their little tag. I don't believe it was a timed race. I think everybody got either a granola bar, a slice of pizza, a banana, and then they would get either a headband, anything that was generated from any of the sponsors that were interested in giving out prizes for those races. And the kids absolutely loved it and the families really enjoyed themselves. So I thought that would be something fun that we can add to our 2025 roster of activities.
Okay.
And a sailboat
Okay.
race, a sailboat race.
We'll come back to that.
And then we are really fast, so we're in a discussion right now for recreation coordinator position because the party of one needs a party of two. This coordinator position, though, Jason has been talking to I want to say Blue Cross Blue Shield offers a grant opportunity. And the grant opportunity is for roughly $20,000 as long as we can match, which we have the possibilities of matching. The stipulation with this grant is that our programs do emphasize positive mental health for our kids, which I feel recreation does. As a whole, it really should. If we're programming appropriately, the kids should be feeling confident about themselves. They should be feeling confident about the activities that they're doing. They should never come into a program and then leave a program feeling less of a person than they are when they get in there. So this person, however this position lines up, we're looking at roughly 20 to 30 hours a week. And assisting me in the implementation and the coordination of the youth programs and adult programs that we would like to offer. So that is where we are at right now with hopefully a new recreation coordinator that can help me really get these programs to be a little bit more robust and be able to provide them without canceling them is my ultimate goal. Nothing is worse than having a program go and then I don't have the staff to be able to do it. So that is what we're trying to do. Any questions on that?
Thank you.
Comments?
Is this like an entry level position or is this somebody with experience?
I mean, it would be nice for people to have some experience. I'm really not looking for somebody that's got like a bachelor's degree and certifications. What I would be looking for is somebody who's excited to learn a lot about
Okay.
working with kids. And what it takes to do the sports. And right now I think we've got like 6 or 7 different part-time temporary coordinator positions. So right now for our volleyball, it'd be somebody that could come out with me and set up the volleyball nets and help out with the volleyball leagues. And if we've got kids basketball, helping me with the basketball programs. Anybody that's willing to learn the recreation side of government and they're enthusiastic about it and not really worried about hours being wonky because when do we recreate outside of our work hours? That's what my professors have always told me. So that's really one of the catches of it is that it is not a typical 9 to 5. But yeah, anybody that's enthusiastic and willing to learn, come my way.
Well, someone could be going to college and still do that.
Yes.
Are you looking for a lifeguard trainer?
We are looking for a lot of things to do with the lifeguarding. So we are Red Cross. We were at first the US, I can't remember, lifeguarding. We're going back into Red Cross because that is universally recognized for the lifeguard training. I know it's a little bit more robust than some other ones, but I think the more that we keep our certifications up under one umbrella rather than it be under a few different umbrellas, it's going to be a lot more cost effective because we're keeping our staff.
Might that be the same person? Might this new
Yeah,
recreation coordinator be
person,
someone who
I
already?
mean, if that's something that they're interested in doing,
Yeah.
I would love somebody to be able to take the lead with lifeguarding this summer so that the lifeguards can have somebody to talk to and to be able to have aside from just me. I would like to have somebody be able to do that.
Can we get a hold of you?
My email address and you can call Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
All right, just to be respectful for time, we're at that point.
Thanks, y'all. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. That's really good information. I think like throwing stuff at us and gives us stuff to digest so we can come back to the meeting and participate more.
Let me
rather
take a
than
little
just
bite
listening.
at a time. I won't have an agenda. That's as long. Okay.
Is there anything else we need to cover before we entertain a motion to adjourn?
Did anybody have any possible agenda item topics that they wanted us to consider before we adjourn? Okay. Then we could adjourn if you're wanna.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Do we do it? A motion to adjourn?
Just say the.
Oh,
meeting
good.
is
I have to
adjourned.
read something. Okay. Okay, with no further business before the commission, this meeting is now adjourned at 4 o'clock. Nailed it.
Wow.